Hey guys, Doc. Today we're going to talk about a push zone. This video is going to be all kinds of jumpy. I'm going to jump from the farm property to the other house to the fields. We're going to jump all around, but we're going to talk about that push zone today. I don't want you to forget. Make sure you get the lawn guides, guys. We built these websites for each lawn, the Bermuda lawn, Zoysia lawn, and cool season lawn. They each have their own website. We put them up for free. There's nothing to download. We don't want your information. Just use them. There's calendars. There's answers to every question you might have. So get them and use them. Let's go on. Let's look at this video now. There is a time to push your lawn, and that's the determination you need to make. When is that time that you're going to push it hard, make it thicken up, and then when the warm temperatures come in, you can sort of back off. Hold on, I'll tell you. So is there a time where you want to pound down that fertilizer? The answer is yes, especially for warm season guys. There's a window where we want to push our lawns to thicken them up. We want to do this while our pre-emergent is still active and before the heat, real hot heat comes in. So there's this little window. I'll talk about that in a minute. If you've got a cool season lawn, we're just moderately putting down fertilizer. We're not really pounding it down. This is my experiment back here, and I actually just ordered some Zenith Zoysia seed online. And once the temperatures get warm, once we get up into the 80s consistently, I'll put down that, and my irrigation system will be in, so I won't have to worry about coming out here and hand spraying it. Got a lot going on, so let's move on. I'm going to the other house. Hey guys, so we're over here at the Bermuda lawn house. I made the mistake of coming over here yesterday by myself, and I ended up cutting the whole thing, and I put some more PGF Complete down on the front. Every lawn in our neighborhood looks like crap. It's still dormant, but that's not looking bad. That really isn't bad considering this was reset back into dormancy a few weeks ago. So man, that's looking really good. I am not gonna complain about this right here. That looks good. So the backyard, I'm actually surprised, looks better than I thought. So putting green looks good, doesn't it?
Definitely.
He was like, man, he took a picture of that. He got a friend that plays golf. He said, I'm going to send this to him. So this is actually looking really good. I thought that this would be behind the front, but actually, this is just, I'm really happy with this. This is nice and green. This is really thickening up. I would say that's 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, somewhere in between there. So let's talk about the push zone. For Bermuda and Zoysia, the push zone is when you're constantly in that high 70s to low 80s. That's the push zone. I have put down, now you're going to be a little bit shocked here, in the past 30 days I have put down PGF Complete 3 times on this lawn. 3 times, Doc? Yes, 3 times. I have put it down just below the bag rate, and that's the way I want you to use that fertilizer. I want you to do a light coat, light coat, light coat. That's the way I want you to use it. It's designed with these tiny, tiny particles so that you can do that. The tiny particles allow you to do the light application multiple times. And that way, when a thunderstorm comes through or you're cutting it, you don't have movement problems. So here's the putting green. Now, we have a Poana issue all back here because I don't want to treat it too hard because this is such a weak area. So I just let my Poana go back here. I treat it a little bit, but the heat will kill it off. But this, that's looking really good. And what I'm doing today, again, the only thing I'm using on here is I'm using green shocker. Now, if you don't know what green shocker is, you need to watch the videos on that. It was specifically designed, it came out last year, and it's a all black fertilizer that is basically the size of salt. I'll show you here in a second. It's a 712 and it's all instant release. So what you can do if in the summertime or whenever you need a little green pop, you can come out with some green shocker and hit your lawn, light coat of green shocker, water, 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 and in about 3 or 4 days, boom, you get this dark green. It has iron, humic acid, 712. But that's all I've been using here. The only thing this year that's been on that is green shocker. I come out with a little hand spreader, I put it out, and I put it out about every other week. Light coat of green shocker, and it is absolutely loving it. Now this is a cool season. This is dwarf bent. Okay, so I want you to look at this image for a minute. This will help you understand this push zone. When you look at the winter time, we're in the 30s to the 50s. Nothing's going on. Our lawn is just basically dormant. Then we start to warm up. We get into the 50s and 60s, and what we're doing is we're thinking about the Jumpstart program, putting down a little 10-10-10. We're putting out pre-emergent. Then we hit that push zone. And that push zone is when we start to get into the high 70s, that low 80s, or even the mid 80s. That's the time where that warm season grass really can be pushed, and you can push it really hard, as long as you're not in a drought situation. Then you're gonna have the summer heat move in. That's when we have the 90s or even above, even some drought conditions. So what we wanna do is we wanna push our lawn, we wanna thicken it up while our pre-emergent is still active, but at the same time, we want to beat that summer heat and get it nice and thick, and it'll choke out all the weeds. This is the time of year there is that push zone, and that push zone for warm season, for Bermuda, zoysia, all your warm season grasses. It's when you hit that 80-degree mark. When you start to hit that 80 degrees, you can come out with PGF Complete. Every 2 or 3 weeks, put out a coat, a light coat. Now people say, well, what's a light coat? Believe it or not, the bag rate is a light coat. So I'll come out here with a bag rate every 2 or 3 weeks and just hit it until this gets really thick. Everything is solid green. Then I'm going to back off. Then I'm going to come out with stuff like Dirt Booster, Human Char, and even if I want to do a little punch, I'll punch it with some green shock. This may not be fertilizer, but it's a shitload of mulch. Oh, Ryan and John are going to have some fun. So we're just cleaning up this property. We're getting ready to actually put it on the market, and so it's time to get the landscaping looking perfect. Lots of mulch going out all around the front, all around the back, everywhere. Oh, it's going to be a long day. I actually came over and I saw one of these sprinkler valves sitting on the driveway, and I guess someone must have run it over, so I got to replace that. But here's green shocker right here. See how fine it is? I mean, it literally is salt. That's what it looks like. It looks like salt. All fast release, very, very mild. If you want a little green punch, maybe you got a family coming over, you got a wedding, we got an event coming up, and you're like, man, the lawn just doesn't have that real punch to it. About 4 or 5 days before that event, put out green shocker, water, water, water if you're not getting rain, and you'll get that nice, quick, dark green up. It's pretty cool. Okay, so you hear me talk about Human Char all the time, and we've been pounding down Human Char for what, 2.5, 3 years on this house. And I want to show you something. I'm digging up a sprinkler head, and I want to show you what our soil used to look like, that red clay, and what the upper 3 or 4 inches looks like now. So look at this. You've got dark brown here, dark brown, and then you go back to the original red clay. Now isn't that crazy right there? That is just crazy. So this right here is loaded up with carbon and humic acid and biochar. Pretty cool. All right, so I'm gonna jump around here for a minute, but we're back over at the farm property, and I think you guys get the point. There is that window, and that push window that I've talked about for years is when you start to hit that high 70s and the 80s, and you've got about 6 weeks of good pushing time. Now that's for zoysia, Bermuda, any kind of warm season grass. This is where you can push it without risk. You don't have to worry about, 90-degree droughts, especially if you have irrigation. Get it to thicken up. Once that lawn thickens up, it's going to choke out the weeds, and you don't have to worry about it. Then you can back off. Once you can back off and just do, whenever you need it, put down a little fertilizer. Hit it with green shocker. Put down a little dirt booster. But that's it. That's that window. It's that one time a year. We don't do this in the fall with warm season. Cool season grasses, you push more in the fall. Not Bermuda, not zoysia. You just sort of just let it tail off. So now I'm going to switch gear a little bit, and I'm going to show you what's going on with the farm property. Why not? There's nothing on Netflix. So this is just a little recap. The house is down there, the barn is here. This is what we call our buck field. We really plant this for the wildlife. And man, let me tell you what, this field will stay this way 365 days a year. And it is so lush and so beautiful. Look at that. White clover, crimson clover, brassica, buckwheat, rye. That is just absolutely gorgeous. Unbelievable. We have started planting in this almost 7,000 square foot vegetable garden here. So we're gonna have a lot of tomatoes. I've kind of figured out that if there's one thing that everybody likes, especially all of our friends and families, everyone loves tomatoes. So I'm gonna have a ton. I bet you we pump out 400 pounds of tomatoes this year. But a lot of you guys know I built this fence specially. It's a regular 4-foot fence, and then we put in 6-foot posts. And then yesterday I came out and I ran this line through eyelets up here. And a lot of people say, oh, deer are gonna jump that. They don't do it. We've never had a deer jump over this. There's too much food all around for them to risk jumping this, and it keeps them out. The only thing I got to worry about is raccoons, and we've been taking care of the raccoons little by little. But on this vegetable garden, we use no fertilizers. It's the opposite of what we're talking about. There's no fertilizers used in this. We till up a row, we put in a ton of dirt booster, and then we leave 6 feet. That's just all natural. We have brassica, we have clover, we have ryegrass. It's more of a, this is a strip till. If you've never heard of strip tilling, watch some of the videos on it. That's basically, it's a hybrid between no-till and full till, and it's a wonderful system. But we have got almost everything started in here. I've got tomatoes, peppers, tomatoes, all kinds of stuff. Okay, so this is the field that I call the high potassium field, and this is a great example of, a lot of people say you want to use a winterizer or something that's real high in potassium for starter fertilizer. I just totally disagree with it. Excess is not good, and this is a perfect example. This field tested extremely high in potassium, and we couldn't get crap to grow out here, nothing. We tried all last year. We finally got it to take. We've got just a little bit of everything growing in here now. So because it's high potassium, one of the things I decided to do is put all my big squashes up here and melons and so forth. So the other day, now this is a huge field, and we only did 3 strips, 1, 2, and 3. And I don't know, what is this? Maybe, oh, they're at least 100 feet long, but I've got pumpkin. What's in this one? Oh, butternut squash. This one is watermelon. This one is zucchini with a little bit of yellow squash mixed in. This one is cantaloupe. And this one is cucumbers and zucchini, I think. So this is going to be real interesting to watch. So this really isn't a field. This was just an upper area on our property. And I told David, who does my bush hogging up here a lot, I said, man, I'd love to have some corn planted. He goes, oh, man. So long story short, he came up with a chisel plow and worked the ground too much, more than I wanted. So what I did is I have a little disc harrow, and I came back and just sort of repaired what he did and just ran over it, and then I got some hybrid 85 corn, and I put a crap load of hybrid 85 corn, and guess what? Even though we're dry, I have got a ton of corn coming up. I mean, just an absolute ton of it. But you can see all the clover that's coming up, and brassica. So same thing here. We'll have a row of crops, but this whole field is going to turn bright green. We never want to leave any dirt on the ground. Look at all this brassica and turnip coming up here. Look at that. And that's really, it's more of a regenerative no-till operation than anything, even though we had to split the ground up once. This was all tall clumping fescue. If you've never dealt with tall clumping fescue, it's a nightmare. I mean, you can't drive my UTV because you'll be rocking back and forth on it. It gets 3 or 4 feet tall, these clumps, and it gets filled with fire ants. So we have to keep this under control. So since there's nothing good on Netflix, let me show you this. This is my wood chip farm. We had hundreds of trees taken off this property, and the first round of trees, we actually chipped up all the trees, and I had them dump it over here. And that was, gosh, almost a year ago. So I have got wood chips out the butt. This is just every one of these piles is a full truckload. I've probably got 10 truckloads of wood chips. But the nice thing about these is that they're slowly rotting out. They're starting to turn black. Now, you do not want to put wood chips on gardens or in gardens because of the carbon to nitrogen ratio. Basically, what will happen is they steal nitrogen. So we're going to take some of this and we're going to mix it with manure, and we're going to create this compost, and then this fall we can actually put that on top of all of our rows. But let me see if I can kick this. I don't have my boots on, which is not good. without getting any fire ants or anything else. So it looks light, but when you get down, look what's happening. See how dark it's turning already? Look at that. Isn't that great? So if I take this and I scoop this up and mix this with some manure, maybe even throw some dirt booster, maybe a little bit of nitrogen on it, and I'll have a real nice pile that I can put on those rows. Just let it sit all winter long. So that's basically the summary. That's what's going on at that house, on the Bermuda lawn house, the cool season, which is going to be converted into zoysia. In a few weeks, I'm going to take you down to the beach house. I'm going to show you the zoysia lawn. Right now, it's kind of ugly. It's still coming out of dormancy. We'll work on the zoysia lawn for you guys down there. Yeah, it's a full-time job doing this crap. Hit subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Doc.